Hey all, Tony Bing here. Hello and welcome to another in-depth review for Marvel Strike Force. Now, something a bit different for tonight's video. We will be having a look at a character that's only really came to my attention recently with the release of the Thanos raids, and this was down to the fact that I was constantly running out of the first aid kit. So I thought, what happens if I throw a healer in there? How will we get on? So it is of course Night Nurse. Now in this video we will start off by looking at a general overview for her, and this includes where you go to unlock and also her tags. This is relevant as to what campaign she can help out in. We follow that up by having a look at her stats. Next up we check out her abilities. We then have the synergies, and finishing up we see where she places in the tier list as well. But first off we'll have a look at a general overview for her. When it comes to her tags then, she has a little bit light on them here, and this is one of the few downsides of her. So it's hero, city, skill and support. The only ones that are really relevant is at a push you get hero for of course the heroes campaign, and in time I believe we will get an event based around city heroes so she can help out with that, but the skill and support tags aren't really that relevant. In regards to where you go to farm, and it is a little bit later on, but she's most definitely worth the effort. So it's firstly heroes 5.9 and then villains 3.9. Now with that general overview covered, what we'll do is we'll have a quick look at her stats. For the stats here then, we have 6 in total to look at. We start off by checking out 3 offensive stats, which aren't going to be anything too impressive given that she is primarily a healer, and then following on from that we'll have a look at her defensive stats. So first off then, let's check out her offensive stats. For the offensive stats then, no big surprise here. The damage is down at F, but that's not an issue because she's not there to deal damage at all. The speed is D, so for that reason, so you can get your heals off in a nice timely fashion, you likely do want to pair her up with someone that can provide speed up. So that would include Black Widow or Merc Lieutenant, and then her focus is A. Now looking at her kit, the only skill that will affect is her basic, because that can actually slow enemies, so the higher focus means you've got a higher chance for that to actually apply to an enemy. Now next up we will check out the defensive stats. When we look at her defensive stats, these are, as you would also expect, on the lower side, and she has a character that you're going to want to have a protector that's able to take all the damage for her. Now her health is D. One thing I will mention about her health is as that goes up, her heals will actually go up, because the 2 heals she's got are based on the amount of health she actually has as well. Now her armour is F, resistance is A, and this is perfect for her because this means it'll be very hard to apply debuffs such as slow and stun on her. You don't want that to happen because you have to have her available at exactly the right time to fire off her heals, so this really helps out with that. Now with the stats covered anyway, we'll now have a look at her abilities. We have 4 abilities to look at in total here then. It's the basic, special, ultimate and also the passive. Now when I discuss each of them I'll actually show off the tooltip as if it was maxed out, so you can see it at its maximum potential, but I will let you know if it's an ability that you want to actually invest your materials in, or if you want to stop a little bit earlier in regards to leveling it up. Now the first one we check out, that's the passive. This is called Triage. So with this, on turn if the ally with the least health has less than 100% health, 25% chance to heal them for 15% of this character's max health. I really like this, and it actually seems to proc pretty often considering the chance on it. This is one that I would say that you want to max out. A 1 in 4 chance for 15% of her health is really pretty nice. With the basic we have our only damage skill. This is called self defense. With this you attack the primary target for 250% damage, and you have a 50% chance to apply slow for 2 turns. Really not a great skill, but the next 2 skills that we will look at more than make up for this. In regards to upgrading this, I would actually say you can leave it round about level 4, because you'll lose a little bit of damage, a little bit of chance to apply slow, but you still have the slow for 2 turns when it does actually apply. So we now come to our first active dedicated heal skill, and this is really nice. This is called First Aid. Takes 3 turns to charge and comes fully charged. When this is maxed out, you heal the lowest health ally for 4200 health and 20% of Night Nurse's max health. Now, if Night Nurse was maxed out, her health would be in the region around about 55,000, so 20% of that would mean that she would be healing for 11,000 on that. Now, one thing I'll mention just before we actually break down as to what level you want to take it to is when you use this, make sure you don't have summons that have low health, because what will happen is she'll use this skill on the lowest health ally, which means it'll be wasted on a summon. When you may have a character that's got a much larger health pool, you could use it on, so do be aware of that. Now, regarding how high you want to take it, do not go higher than level 6. The reason being, at level 6 you keep the 20% of your max health, and the only difference is that you drop 900 from the flat amount. So rather than healing 4200 health, you heal 3300. It's simply not worth the materials for an additional 900 health. They're not when they're a portion of her heal can be doing up to 11,000 in regards to healing. This final skill here is really awesome, and to be honest, it's up there with one of the best skills in the game. So this is called Urgent Care. Now, it does take 4 turns to charge. It doesn't come with any charges, but that's something we can remedy to an extent when we do look at this synergy section. Now, maxed out, this will heal all allies for 3200 health and 10% of the character's max health. So if she was maxed out, that'd be around about 5500 health. But the most important thing in this, and this really can make it so you can trivialise raids, and that would include the Thanos level 60 raid as well, is that you apply regeneration to each ally for 2 turns. So each round of regen is 10%. So every time that your character's getting a shot, 10% of their heal shoots up, and you've also got that initial heal on it as well. It really is an absolutely fantastic skill, and it is, I would probably say, vital if you want to run through some of the harder raids. Now, in regards to how high to take it, at level 6 the regen jumps up to the 2 turns, so you want to get that ASAP, and you do not want to take it higher than that, because similar to the last skill, the only thing it changes is the flat heal. It changes from 3200, it drops down to 2500, which is only 700 health. Most definitely not worth it, but once again, absolutely fantastic skill here. Get that up to level 6 as soon as you can, and it'll make raids so much easier. Now, with all that covered anyway, we'll now have a look at the synergies. When it comes to characters she can work well with, there's 2 factors that really come into play here. The first one being that with her speed being a little bit on the lower side, you want to get that up so she can get as many turns as possible to start charging up those heals. So in that respect, Black Widow and Merc Lieutenant can certainly help out. Now, next up, you want to pair her up with characters that can provide energy, because again, it gives you more chance to get the heals charged up. So characters that can do that very well would include Captain America, Luke Cage, and also Jessica Jones. Now, with that covered anyway, we'll check out the enemies you want to avoid when playing as her. When it comes to characters you want to avoid when playing as Night Nurse, there's 2 real categories here. The first one, which includes Gamora, Daredevil and Korath. These are all characters that have hard-hitting attacks as soon as the fight starts, and they're fast enough that they can act before the tank has a chance to put a taunt up, so there is the risk that she can quickly be burned down. Now, next up, we have a bit of an overlap here, because we have Korath once again, then we have Mordo, Winter Soldier and Hand Assassin. These are all characters that have heal block as part of their kit, and Mordo, from what we've seen when we fight against them in the raids, actually has an AoE heal block that applies to all characters, so that could completely negate any use that Night Nurse is able to offer, because she's all about healing. The damage you put out, as we've seen earlier on, is completely minimal there, so that's something you do need to watch out for. Now, with all that covered anyway, we're now at the final section of the video, which will be the tier list. For this tier list here then, we've got 5 different ratings, the most powerful one being on the left, that's a mega rating, and as we go from left to right the characters get progressively weaker until we're all the way down at level 1. Now, regarding Night Nurse, she's a character that if I was to rank her based purely on how she can work in raids and story mode, I would say she's probably in a mega hero. She really is that good with that double regen on the ultimate, as well as the other heals, the passive ones as well. Now, because she is only of use in certain modes in the game, I would place her as an alpha class character, so she's still absolutely fantastic, but she doesn't shine in every mode. Now, if we look at the overall positives and negatives here, you've got the fact, as mentioned, she's fantastic. She's even, I would say, game changing when it comes to raids and story mode. You've got that double regen there, it's incredible, and I've said that a few times, but it really is. You've got the high resistance, it means it's very hard for enemies to slow or stun her, meaning you can get the heals off at the time you most need them. When we look at her negatives, you've got the fact that she is only doing heals really. The damage she does is minimal, so you are using a slot for those heals. You've also got the fact she's a bit slower, so you're really going to have someone in your team to speed it up. And then finally you've got the fact that she can be a little bit of a slow burn, because until you get to level 6 on that ultimate, she'll feel mediocre. Once you hit that and you start leveling her up even more and getting her health up higher, then you'll really notice a huge difference. So great character, not one that's worth the deal that was in the store. I think it was in the region of about £35 for maybe 50 shards. Yes, if you're a whale, no, if you're a regular person, they're not worth it. Just farm her in the nodes where she is available. But as always, I hope this video has been useful. Any questions, feel free to ask, and I'll see you all again soon.